Welcome back, guys. If you're new, we're Laura and Ollie. We are currently in the midst of renovating our long-term do-upper, planning our wedding, and getting back into a work schedule as the UK gets back on its feet. This week, as things start to open up, we headed out antique shopping, and I also take you through our garden plans. We're taking on more than we expected and hope it'll help us out in the long run, but make sure to subscribe and follow along to see how it does turn out. Good morning, guys. We are just heading out of the door because we're gonna go antique shopping today. Antique / charity shopping. We're gonna see what we can fit in because we're also going to see a wedding venue. So I'm just like semi-smartly for going charity shopping. Oh my gosh, I've just seen what we were eating last night and kind of tempted. It's only about 9 AM in the morning. I could so have a Rolo right now, but I'm not going to. Ta-da! Oh, look, my lovely space. Oh, there's my shoes. Wonderful. Are they the ones that you're wearing today?
No, I'm wearing my white trainers too.
You have to match me. You said that you were wearing your boots.
Oh, my boots need rehealing.
Okay, we'll match then. We like matching. We are starting today in Topsham at the Key Antique Centre. It is a gorgeous industrial building, I'll show you in a second, which is right on the estuary. This is one of my favourite places ever, Topsham in general, but the estuary, the Goat's Walk, just all the beautiful walks around here, it makes me feel totally at peace. I'll show you the building and the water first, then we'll go inside. I mean, check out this view for an antique place, and it's in this building here. I mean, imagine having those windows. This would be my dream, to be able to live somewhere and look out on a view like this every day. / maybe just have a boat.
Have a boat.
Yeah, so gorgeous. Always Ollie's favourite section. This is all the cute old tools. They're lovely though, they're all wooden. I mean, look at this. Aren't these gorgeous all?
Yeah, old spirit levels.
So beautiful. I think these are gorgeous. I love the colouring on them. Look at that gorgeous blue, £12, but I think the set's a little bit too small, as in that's only like a side plate and then they've only got 4 cups, unfortunately. So pretty. Lovely for like summer picnics in the garden.
You want some Russian dolls?
Found a possible vase for flowers. I'm holding on to it just in case. Not sure yet.
Vase number 2.
Very into vases. I don't know if I love or hate this one. What do you think about it? It's really pretty. I
think it could look quite nice if it was in a... I think it's because it's kind of scruffy in here that it looks a bit odd.
Oh no, I like her. Oh, she's coming too.
Well, that's both your arms full, so I guess we're done.
Can't make our minds up on these. Part of me loves them, part of me isn't sure. These salt and pepper shakers. Focus. Okay, I feel like I cut it semi-abruptly in there because I found something that I fell in love with but wasn't expecting to find or spend today, and I got it. And
Got 2 of them.
There's no returns. So basically they're paintings, and they're paintings from one of my favourite artists, Ray Balkwell, and we have prints. My parents have paintings from them, and they got us prints from him for Christmas. Can you tell I'm a little bit like I've got that, like, I don't know, that anxiety of spending when you don't think that you're going to spend, but at the same time kind of like excitement because if they're paintings, we probably got them at quite a good price. If they are prints, then we paid a fair price.
Yeah, fair. I don't think we overpaid for prints, but if they're paintings,
yeah,
which we think they are.
Yes. So we had a lady come, like we were there like, do we buy them? And she was like looking with a magnifying glass and she was pretty much convinced that they were watercolour. So you guys may remember the ones that we have in our living room. Shall I open one?
Yeah. Unwrap it.
There are, Ollie, we own some paintings now.
Art collectors now, you know.
So we did some more. The ones that we've got are a little bit more modern. They're his like newer range, and these are more like
these are from
ones.
So on the back there's a little sort of sticker with some text about him, and it's signed by him from 1992, and then I think they were sold originally in 1993, so they're quite old.
His colouring is just so beautiful. I mean, this is going to be a very like love-hate thing. Some people might not enjoy this kind of watercolour, but they're all of like the local area. So one of them is literally of that area. Like,
well, that's it, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, this is the estuary that you've just seen.
So, there's a really bad reflection in it.
I know.
So that building just there is literally the building we were just in.
We think. But nonetheless, this is the ex-estuary, and
it's the only key like that with that building on the estuary, so.
Yeah. So chuffed, but at the same time a little bit like, I mean, they weren't a huge amount for paintings at all, but we just don't buy paintings ever. So yeah, really exciting, really happy, but at the same time a little bit like, okay, let's go home now and not spend any more money. Another thing that we didn't come to buy, but we're looking at this for our dining room. We don't know how much it is right now. Love these details on it and that it's on wheels. I don't know what it is with today, finding big things that we don't need, but I'm so tempted by that dining room table now. We're gonna ask the price. Basically our dining room table that's currently in the dining room, we actually bought for outside because it's teak, and obviously we're making over the outside now, and we could do with that dining table outside. So it makes sense. Good morning guys, it's the next day. Obviously yesterday we actually ended up going to my parents for dinner out in the garden, and it was really lovely, and the night just kind of got away from us, so I didn't sign off, but I wanted to check in today and show you the paintings that I picked up, which I felt so overwhelmed by. I think having not gone out and not gone into shops for such a long time, it's definitely made me like ponder thoughts for longer with buying like purchases, because I sit at home on my laptop and like I can kind of think about the decisions for longer. So yeah, that's why I was kind of like a little bit, I guess, anxious about the decision. Anyway, I'm currently waiting for a new camera. If you've been able to see it in this video, I don't think you can probably see it on this screen because there's too much going on, but I have another dust spot on my lens, and unfortunately when dust gets actually into the back of the lens, it's not just a case of like cleaning it off the front, it's like there for good, and this is a there for good one. So I need another one so that I can alternate. I think it's going to keep happening, obviously with what I film. I'm going to need two cameras to be able to switch between the two. I'm going to have to send this one off to be repaired, cleaned inside the lens, so hopefully that black dot can disappear. But anyway, that's exciting, and hopefully it will be a little bit better quality and audio quality. But I'm going to show you through our garden plans, but I'll talk about that in a second. For now, I just want to show you the pictures that we picked up, and also talk through on the dining room, because I feel like I kind of like just dropped that in there yesterday. So this is the pair, and actually after that initial panic, I am so glad we came home last night and put them up on the mantle, and I'm like, I'm so glad that we got those. So this one, if you guys know the area, is Dartmouth or the Southwest. I adore the colours in this one. I just think it is so beautifully, like tonally, exactly the kind of colours that we're kind of picking up in the house and for the whole scheme. I quite like the frames in them. I think we'll definitely be keeping them for now, but I'm not even sure whether we'll change them in the future because they're in pretty good condition. And then this is the one that I showed you of the ex-estuary. That's just a little bit of a sticky label that they had on them that I need to be able to take off. So yeah, absolutely chuffed with those. Very happy that we did pick them up. And now the dining room table. Yes, we are planning on this one going out to the garden. So we originally bought this one to go into the garden. It's solid teak, so we'd stain it in an outdoor stain and have it out in the garden. I saw this image years ago, I think it was from Garden Trading, that had a beautiful solid table out in the garden with wicker chairs, and I was like, that is what I want. If we ever find that, I'm just gonna pick it up. And I did find it on eBay. It was an amazing price. I can't remember how much we got this one for, but I may have mentioned it in a video back when we got it. Anyway, let me flip you around just in case you're new and you haven't really seen the dining table. So here she is. I do like the mix between modern and antique furniture, and this is definitely modern in a room that has like a lot of character to it. But I think the table that we saw yesterday at the charity shop, it was £80, so kind of an absolute steal. Part of me thinking, why didn't we pick it up? Oh, but we didn't. Anyway, I think that one would go better in this room, and I think this one would go beautifully in a garden. I just think the style of it, I mean, yes, it is over top for the garden, but because we bought it secondhand, it's way cheaper. Oh, it keeps getting out of focus. Way cheaper than just getting kind of like a pretty standard plastic table for the garden. So anyway, that's our plan. Move that one outside and move another one in here. These chairs we will be changing kind of like long term. So that is why kind of a dining table is on our radar for this room. And there is some kind of method to our madness, guys. I'm sat down at my desk now, and it's time to take you through the garden plan, the garden design, the garden name, what we're doing in the garden, what's happening, basically. So, to go right back, I think we mentioned in the video what's next, what we were going to be doing with the garden, and I'd kind of said, I think I'm going to wrap it all up into one video in my head, thinking it's going to be quite a quick project. We weren't supposed to be doing the garden this year, we weren't supposed to be touching the garden this year, but of course we started. Now I'm glad we did, but like anything, I think we started back in Easter, around Easter time. I think that's when we started the project. It's taking far longer. Well, not just that it's taking longer, but we are doing far more than we ever thought we would. So I'm gonna have the first vlog going up pretty soon, maybe next week or the week after, and that's going to take you through the demolition, the first phase of the garden. So I'm going to break it into phases because else they're going to be unbelievably long videos, because this is a much bigger project than we ever planned. Just to kind of let you know, we did get a skip in the end, quite big. I think it's like 8 yard, could be wrong, maybe 6 yard skip. It is full of rubble from the garden, so it's been a pretty big project. It's something that I'm going to start sharing with you now on a more regular basis. So anyway, I thought I'd take you through the design, the aim today, so that you're up to speed with what we are doing and what we hopefully want to achieve. Now I've got a few random designs to show you, but hopefully this may make it a little bit easier for you to visualize. We weren't going to do the garden because we plan to extend, so our house is here technically. We plan to extend our house this way, and we also plan at that point there could be diggers in the garden, messing the garden up, messing the lawn up. And we planned at that stage, we've got, at this end, we've got what they called kind of like outbuildings. They're not really outbuildings, they are brick sheds, basically. But they're good, they're a really big size. I'd probably say at least 6 meters by 6 meters. So at the point where we do the extension, we also want to do something to that space down there, whether we just do something quick and easy and we turn it into a better shed, but it's in pretty bad nick right now, or we do something a bit nicer and we have it as like half an office and half a shed. So we don't want to do a huge amount, because at some point the garden, at least the lawn area, is going to get churned up. So this is the garden space, hopefully for when we extend. So this has been calculated for already taking out a little bit of our garden. So the plan, the general plan, is at this end where the house is, you'll have doors opening here, and then you'll have a bit of a patioed area. Some of you may know we have a beautiful magnolia tree. That is the magnolia tree. Actually, it's not ours, it's our neighbour's, but it comes over onto our property and looks really pretty on our side. We also have, I think it's the hawthorn here, which we'll be keeping. And this is another little tree which is coming over from the other side of our neighbouring garden, which is also quite pretty. Not that that really matters, but that gives you a bit of a sense. So walking out, we want to have hopefully a dining table there, so that you can use it from the kitchen. This will be the kitchen in here. And then this long space here, we don't have pretty much a plan for right now. However, at the back of the garden, which is where it previously was the greenhouse and the veggie patches, that is where it gets the most light, which obviously is lovely for a greenhouse and veggie patches, but with us, we want to be able to fully enjoy our garden, fully enjoy all of the light and sunlight that it gets. So we want to put a barbecue area to the back of our house back here. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that this is making sense to you. So the original plan was just to take this end of the garden where the greenhouse is, take down the greenhouse, and in place of the greenhouse, because we were hoping that the greenhouse would have some kind of like flat area underneath it, just put a table or chairs there. Of course, that has hugely escalated and we are now redoing that whole area. And I'm going to show you some better visuals in a second, so bear with me, but this is that portion of that back area there. So we've not only done an online plan, but we've also taken bits of furniture, measured them all out correctly so that hopefully we can like visualize and see how a space would sit. I'm going to show you this lying down so that I can actually put these on here to show you what it would look like, or how we've kind of like planned how the space would go. So as I said, as you come out from the kitchen at the other end, that's going to be more of the dining table. This will be a place where you can sit and lounge. And so we thought it'd be really nice to have a corner sofa, so this would be a corner sofa, and then a rising dining table so that you can still dine there, but you can also just kind of chill out. And then 2 benches to go around there so that hopefully we can sit about 8 people. We've kept space here for borders either side. Currently this side doesn't have a border, it's just concreted over. And this here is a door which goes into our, what we're calling the outbuildings. And then we also quite like the idea of hopefully having 2 sun lounges. So this is about the size of 2 sun lounges. Oh dear, where did that one go? Pinged right away over here. Yeah, 2 sun lounges over here. So you're hopefully getting a bit of an idea of the components. And then we really wanted a barbecue area over here. And since we started, we've decided that probably we will take a little bit out of this bed and we'll place the barbecue right back there, somewhere in the middle, so that it flows a little bit like that. So I've used an online garden builder to put together a little bit of a design, but as you can see here, this is where you'll come out of the house. There'll be a dining table facing this way because our garden's long, so it works having it that way. Probably just have pots here and we'll do the full width patio. There's the magnolia, there's our hawthorn tree, and then this bit will probably keep as much of it as possible lawn. I haven't put in the borders here, but I'm sure we'll have some borders, and this is a bench in the middle so that you've also got some seating in the middle of the garden. And this is the project that we're working on now, so I'm going to zoom this in a bit. Now this is by no means perfect because the garden designer that I built and did this in about 10 minutes in didn't have a huge amount of things or a huge amount of plants to kind of put a space together. So you have to have a bit of a vision for this one. But the whole reason for us doing this at the end of the garden was so that we could put some trellising either side and we could get some evergreen climbers to start growing. This would mean that when we did come to do this building and our extension, hopefully we'll already have some established evergreen plants growing all over the trellis, fingers crossed. On this side gets a little bit more sun, so we're hoping to go for jasmine, that's also scented. And then on this side, we're gonna hopefully go for a climbing hydrangea because this one's a little bit more sheltered and they like a more sheltered light. I'd love to put a tree at the back here. I love silver birch, but we also really like things that are evergreen. So we're kind of toying up between there. This is where you'll hopefully walk through and go to the back sheds. And then you can't kind of see it, but this is where the corner sofa would be, an umbrella. And hopefully within time, maybe this tree would also just shade a lot of lovely shade onto the table here. Then you'd have the 2 lounges, and we still want to keep this like separation because our garden is so long. We still want to separate off the areas, but instead of having the brick walls, we're thinking of doing either hedging or bleach trees. This is something that we will do in the future. And then this is where I want to move the veggie boxes to. Got some cute little radishes and carrots in there. In the future, they'll be much smaller and they'll be much more contained. Before it was taking up this whole space, which for us and hopefully growing into family just wouldn't have worked. On this side, we've definitely gone a little bit more OTT. This is 2 barbecues, but we won't be having 2 barbecues. We're thinking a barbecue, but also some seating space. I'll put some ideas up on screen here. We really want it to kind of look like a bit like an outdoor kitchen, but perhaps also somewhere where you could do some potting, just anything that you're doing outside. We'd really like a sink there, and hopefully in the future when we come to do this building there might also be electricity in there, so we could have a fridge in there and that kind of thing if needed. And then I think the only other thing is that we're going to pop in some lights. We will obviously plant these areas, but the climbers are really the reason that we want to get something in, and possibly the tree. And I think next spring we'll think about putting these in. So that's the plan, but now the logistics. So we never planned on actually doing this whole makeover. And the one thing that we really struggled with was the ground. So obviously it's quite easy for us to take up all of the cement and put in the borders, but it was what we were gonna put on pretty much our mud pit. This is what it's currently looking like. Basically, how are we gonna get some ground without adding too much into the space? Because at some point, this will be taken down. We don't wanna do paving. We didn't particularly want to do any like wood structure. And this is what we've come up with. I was going to show you the screen, but actually I think it's just probably going to be easier if I put images and an overlay over this bit here. But we're going to do something called binding gravel. Now what that is it's like much more of a kind of like sandy, small gravel, and it compounds and like it compacts. So either as you walk on it, it will kind of harden, or you usually like roller or use a machine to compact it down. It's generally used usually in kind of like stately homes or like National Trust, you know, when they have those really long paths, that's the kind of thing that they use. The appeal for us was that it wasn't bringing any material in. Obviously it is a material, but that area in the future will be paved, probably the same as the paving area that's down towards the kitchen. And at that point, there's going to be a digger going over it, perhaps working on the outbuildings. And with this, it would just make a hardcore level for the future. So whenever you're doing any paving, you have to have hardcore, and then you have sand, and then you can pave over the top of it. What this will do is it will mean that over the top of our soil, we'll then put this binding gravel, and that in the future can just stay there as the hardcore. We may need a bit more hardcore, but they can just kind of like mulch it all up, and then we can put the paving over it. So it means that, because I think a lot of our time and energy is always spent lifting and shifting, and the thought of putting down paving to at some point get rid of it again just didn't make sense. So this seems like, I say temporary, but really it is working towards our end goal a lot more than we thought it would be. Obviously it's a good bit later now. As you can tell, I've actually got my pajamas on. I was chatting to you guys and I thought, I'm gonna stop a second, I'm gonna put in the footage from yesterday, see how long I've been chatting, because it's probably far too long knowing me. And I got the video up onto my laptop, and my laptop screen just went black. And cutting a long story short, I couldn't get it to work. I put the lid up and down, I've turned it back on and off. The laptop is like awake, as in the button to turn it on and off is coming on. Don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty tired now, just a little bit emotionally drained from the whole experience. Ollie has just got home from work and he's actually managed to, what have you done? You've plugged it into another screen?
Plugged it into TV.
Plugged it into our TV through a cable, and we can see my laptop screen up on the TV. So it means that that's something, it's the screen that's broken.
Screen, not the
hard drive.
Well, like, just like the computer.
The computer generally, which I don't know if is good or bad news.
Good.
Good news?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the day just ran away, and while Ollie was at work earlier, I'd asked him to print some of the garden designs out, and he forgot, didn't you?
Sorry.
So that's where we are. Unfortunately, it's Thursday, so the day before you're watching this. Yeah, I'm afraid this week, in fact the last few weeks, have just been a little bit manic. I think mostly because of wedding planning and trying to fit that in around everything else, as well as like planning like some long-term renovations and makeovers. But yeah, I don't want to complain, because I always feel like it's like, oh, it's been such a bad week, when in like, you know, it hasn't been. I have a good life, but it's just kind of, yeah, Stressful. Stressful. Not been the best. So now, if I want to use my laptop, I'm gonna use it up here on the screen. Anyway, I'm just annoyed because I've been going back and forth for months on whether to order a new camera. Because, can you see the black dot on this one? You've probably seen it in some of the before footage.
Somewhere.
Yeah, it's been hidden by my hair right now. And I finally took the plunge and it arrived and my laptop broke. I feel like that's just technology, because I was literally thinking in my head, well, I've got no other technology expenses this year.
Little did we know.
My laptop. But anyway, I think that's it for the garden. I mean, if you'd have bought through the plans, we could have showed you again. Oh, the only other thing that I wanted to chat about was the tree, the holly tree. Because I know a few of you wondered why we took it out, because why would you take out a tree? Unfortunately, we had to take it out for a number of reasons.
So many. It was growing into the wall and it's damaging the wall. Yeah,
I can kind of show you probably in my next video. It was too close to the wall, to our neighbouring wall, to the fact that like probably the biggest root, which was huge, like almost
really
stump
thick.
size.
It's not been taken out. It's been taken flush with the wall, but
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah.
It's probably part of the wall now. If we take it out, the wall's
We won't be able to take it out. No. And then we have
telegraph lines going over the top of it, so it's completely grown into those.
And if we had shortened it down, it had been allowed to grow too much, so that basically all of the, I'm so tired, the branches were right at the top of the tree. So if we had cut down the tree, it would have no branches because it needed to come down
so much. Someone had kept topping it before, so instead of having a nice shooty top, you basically ended up with like this little stump with little twigs come out, and we would have had to do the same thing, take it down, chop it off, and it just looked like you would have chopped half the tree off.
Yeah.
It looked very odd.
Yeah, so unfortunately, just generally, it had got too big for the space. It was cutting out a lot of sunlight for our neighbours. They were very happy to see it go, weren't they?
It's the thing with trees, you plant them and they're fine while you plant them and they're there, but really at some point they grow too big for the space they've been put in, unless you have a massive garden and you're like, yeah, it's fine, it can grow there for the next 50 years.
I think, we're in a very residential area where we're quite restricted as far as trees and how big they can go. So yes, that's where the holly tree went.
There's some palm trees to come down in the future, because same point, they were planted right in the wall, they've grown into the wall.
No, they've actually put them around a stump. I mean, anyway, I've already nattered on today so much. Anyway, that's our garden plans. Lots more to come in future years, but that tree isn't coming down this year, is it?
Well, the palm tree?
Yeah.
Watch this space.
It's not coming down this year. Anyway, we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.